Hey everybody, it's SpazKid, and before I even start the tutorial, yes, I do use a Wacom Bamboo tablet. I do use a tablet, okay? That's what pressure sensitivity means, and using pressure and stuff whenever you see these buttons. That would usually indicate a tablet is installed. If you go, let me just link you guys to what I'm using. I use a Wacom Bamboo pen tablet. It's the cheapest one, it got a lot of good reviews. In my opinion, it's pretty damn good considering what I used to have was some shitty fucking paper-sized one which sucked dick and I ended up smashing on my fucking bedpost. But this one hasn't given me any trouble. I need to get a fucking tablet glove because you will end up like making grease marks just by accident. Doesn't matter. When you do it a lot, it just happens. So I should probably get that. But I'm gonna be getting an N2S 4 soon, eventually when I get the money, so that's what I've been saving up for, but for now, it's just good to start out with. Hey everybody, it's SpazKid, and I'm going to go ahead and explain something I really don't enjoy, and it's sprite animation, but there are people out there who do that, and they use it as a medium instead of drawing, so this is for those people who use it. I know a little bit about sprite animation, but barely pretty much anything because I don't do it. But what I do know is I do know how to trace a bitmap to let you edit it, so I'm going to drag out a bitmap I googled. I really don't care. And I'm going to go up. This is what I'm going to do. You got to follow these. It's important not to break this bitmap apart. If you break it apart, none of these instructions will work. So if you're wondering why it's not working, you probably broke it apart. And you just grab the bitmap again and put it out. It has to be a bitmap. You go up to modify. You go to bitmap. And then you go to trace bitmap. Now, this is important. Color threshold is basically the depth of the color. It starts out at 100. I do not recommend 100 for sprites. Basically, set it from 50 to 56, anywhere in there. I recommend 56, and minimum area is also important to be extremely low. If you put more, your sprites will start looking like shit. So, personally, the perfect setting I have is 56 for color threshold, and minimum area is 1. And be sure to put curve fit to pixels because this isn't a picture. And the corner threshold, put many corners. And now press OK. Now this you got to be careful because sometimes tracing sprites will take a while, and if thing starts to freeze, just let it go. My computer's pretty good, so it doesn't really react. But my XP used to mess up whenever I try to trace sprites, so I never do it. But as you can see, no real color was lost. I can delete the background and I can select a sprite, move it around freely and convert it to a symbol and so on. Now let me give you an example of what would happen if I didn't do what I had it set to. I'm just going to go and press Ctrl Z until it turns to a bitmap. I'm going to go to modify and I'm going to go to bitmap everything again. This time I'm going to put this at 100 and I'm going to put the minimum area at 10. Now, as you can see, it raped my quality and made it look like I'm playing an old NES game with fairly updated graphics for a Mega Man thing. See, there's no white around the eyes. Everything's been fucking ruined. That's why it's important to have what I said, the settings, because messing around with the colors will mess with your sprites. So remember, 56 for color threshold and 1 for the minimum area or whatever. That's really important. So I'm going to do this running animation, basically. And what I'm going to do basically, like right now, is I'm going to convert all of these individual symbols and I'm just going to convert them into graphic. I don't really care for now. It's just for an example. It doesn't matter where I put them. I just need to convert these into a symbol because I removed the background. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. Hey everybody. So okay, so I removed everything and I basically set up this little running sequence. If you notice these numbers appear, if you're wondering why I did that, that's for me. It helps me out, so I recommend doing it as well because it really sorts your shit out. Because when we're swapping symbols, it's really important to be organized because you're going to be making it look like it's flowing professionally. So basically, I have the third symbol and the instance of symbol 3. Now, if I come to the properties and you see the instance basically means the name. This doesn't necessarily have to be symbol 3. This can be called Mega Man 1, and it's basically just the name. But for now, I'm just trying to make it easy on myself, so I call it symbol 3. Now, if it was Mega Man 1, I'd probably call it M1, and I would replace 3 with M1. And the symbol 3 over here would be called Mega Man 1. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make a new frame, completely new frame. I'm going to lock these. How to do that is you come up here where this lock area is, and you just click these circles in here. And I'm going to insert a new layer, layer 6. Now, with layer 6, I'm just going to go ahead and put 3 in, since that's what my first symbol is. And what I'm going to do from here is fairly easy. I'm going to insert a few keyframes, just a few. I'm sure there's more, but for now, that's what I have. I inserted all these are keyframes. I pressed F6 till this was all full. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the second frame, and I'm going to swap it. So how to swap is I select everything. I select the frame, and it selects everything. I right-click, and I go to swap symbol. You can also set this up in the hotkeys, but I already told you guys how to do that, so I don't really want to get into that. But this is the easiest in my opinion, and I'm sure there's button layouts you could do if you want, but just right-click and go to swap symbol. And since 3 is the first one and 4 is the second one, I'm going to go ahead and go to symbol 4. So as you see, it's swapped to symbol 4. Now I'm going to repeat the process, and I'm going to go to 5, select everything, select the third frame. I'm going to right-click this, go to swap symbol. And since I already did 4, I'm going to do 5. Now I'm just going to keep repeating the process till I get all those at the top done. And I'll get back to you guys. Alright, so I space mine 2, and basically this is what I got. You know, it's not that great. I didn't really pay attention that much. It was just for an example, but I'm sure you guys can make better than me. But I'm going to go ahead and just preview this in Flash. So as you see, it doesn't bounce, it doesn't boggle all over the place. It stays in one exact area. That's because since these are all basically the same size, it literally just swaps the size. Like it just swaps the positions. Now if you're doing like mouths or certain mouths, you might have to skew it just slightly, but for the most part, swapping symbols is really important for tweening and stuff like that for those people who don't do frame by frame. And swapping symbols is highly recommended if you want to get something done in time and you don't want to be late. So that's basically how you swap symbols. Let's say for instance that you want to take all these Mega Man sprites and put them in one graphic because you don't want them on the main canvas for some reason. There's 2 ways to do it, but I'm going to do it a pretty easy way. There's even an easier way, but I'm not getting into that. This is still not hard, so it's good for now. When we get into extensions, I'll tell you about what to download if you want to get the easier route. But for now, we're just going to do basically don't just fucking turn off the no colors of the pencil. Honestly, I hate how it's always fucking on all the time. Just turn it off. Make the shape. Any shape, doesn't matter. Just grab a fucking shape tool and make a shape. Convert it into a symbol. I don't give a shit about the name because it doesn't matter. Select all the frames at the top and just literally go to copy frames. Now that you converted this into a symbol, go into it and literally paste it on that frame, everything. And it should override it and make it the sprite, but obviously it won't be in the same location. And from there, take this point, this white point, select everything, and move it in the middle. You'll thank me later, because it interferes with sizing and it keeps a static shape. If you have it over here, and you try to make a shape, see, wherever it's located is exactly how it's going to space itself out. So now we have a bigger sprite, and if I was to say insert a keyframe over here and create a motion tween and make it move, and I was to preview it in Flash, oh look, it's a moving sprite. Obviously it looks like dick because it didn't really try too much on following the running procedure, but you know, that's basically how easy it is to make sprites into graphics and so on and so forth. Now I'm going to teach you guys about simple action script codes. Now, I'm not a fucking mathematician, so I can't teach you how to make a goddamn game. You're going to have to look for tutorials elsewhere. This is just for like your basic stop movie and so on, and so forth. I'm not getting into really deep shit, so we're going to learn the basics, the basic fucking actions. So we're going to start immediately. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm just gonna draw something. Um, it's not gonna be too impressive, but I'm just gonna draw a simple hand motion. You know where to start. Okay. And I'll draw something. Let's speed this up. So now we're gonna get into actions. Okay, so I made a basic hand motion thing. It's really simple, it's just a hand doing a thumbs up. And that's as simple as it was, how long it took. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you guys how to set up actions. I recommend setting them automatically through the windows up here and going to actions and getting them open and getting them ready. So you have them at your disposal whenever you want down here. From there, you can go to the frame, then open your actions window by simply double clicking. And this is in the frame. If you were hitting a movie clip, you would actually click the movie clip and then right click and go to action. But since we're just doing framework, we're just editing the frame, we're putting action script in the frame, we're not putting it in a symbol, so this is on the timeline. When you first get Flash, you won't have any of this shit. You will have this, and you probably won't know what folder to open. What I recommend using is global functions, and then going to timeline control. These are the basic control you're going to use when you're animating in Flash. Everything else is pretty much for games, but these are in Flash. The only one that isn't in Flash is root, but I will teach you guys how to do root because it's a little more different from all of these. And root actually, you can do a lot with a root action, but for now we're just going to stick with the basics. So we have go to and play. I'm going to tell you what each one does. Go to and play. If we were to add go to and play, just simply hold it and drag it in. With go to and play, this basically goes to a frame or a frame label and it plays it. So when it hits that frame, it automatically warps to the frame you have it set at. So for instance, I currently have it set at to play at 1, and it's on the 4th frame. That means once it hits the 4th frame, it will automatically warp to the 1st frame, because it's frame number 1 and go to and play. I can press go to and stop, and it'll stop, but I want to show a loop motion, so I'm going to leave it on go to and play. I'm just going to minimize this and preview it in Flash so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So as you see, it doesn't continue past the 4th frame because I told it to constantly warp back to the 1st frame. So I'm going to open up my actions again by double clicking it at the bottom. And this time, I'm going to label my frame. I'm going to make it, when it hits here, it's going to warp to the 1st frame, but it's not going to be called frame number 1. I'm going to call it a different name. So for now, I'm just going to call it frame label. And I'm going to call it penis. Now, penis doesn't exist until I make it. So I'm going to go to this frame, I'm going to open up the properties window, and I'm going to go to the frame label down here. And from here, I'm going to name it penis. Once you get a flag up in your frame, that means you have it set as a label. You can have a bunch of frame labels. Try not to make the same name. You'll get fucking... I don't even think it'll do it. Let me see. It'll probably give me an error if I do 2 frame labels of the same name. These are the exact same. Yeah. See, it says warning, duplicate label. Just you get these warning symbols. You don't want warning symbols. That means you fucked up. So I'm going to take away that because I want it to go to the first one. It's going to look exactly like the first one. The only difference is it's through frame labeling. So we have our frame labeled as penis, and we have it on a constant loop because we have it on go to and play. So that means every time it hits this action will go to penis. So I'll preview it in Flash, and it'll look exactly like the last one, only it's like the exact opposite. As you can see, I'm right. And that's pretty much as easy as it is to frame label. There's really nothing else. You can name fucking anything. You can go to all of these and name them something completely different. Okay, what the fuck? get creative with your labels and fucking you can loop to all of them. This also helps if you're doing like collaborative things and you have somebody's thing, and let's say you have a lot of frames and you want certain buttons to link to those Flash movies. So you would have a button and you press play and it would automatically warp after you press play to said frame label. So you'd say like collaborative effort number 2, and it's just the whatever flash number 2 you have set at that it works to it. So at the end of that flash, you can make it warp to the beginning again where the whole menu system is. So there's a lot you can do with these actions, and these are very important. There's also stop all sound when you're animating in Flash, but we're not getting into sound just yet, and that's more for games and stuff. So it's really important to learn action scripts and frame labels and all this stuff when animating, because even if you think this stuff isn't important, eventually you're going to need to learn it. So what we're doing now is we're going to do buttons. Since we did frames, I'm going to teach you guys how to do buttons, and buttons are fairly easy to do. I recommend putting a stop at the end. You don't always have to do that to put a replay button. If you don't want to put a replay button, you can literally just make it loop back to the beginning. Most people do that anyways, and you can just stop it there, doing the go to and stop trick. Or just literally having it at the end of the frame to go to and stop. So go ahead and put a stop motion at the very beginning, because you're going to be playing anyways, so if it's on stop, it doesn't matter. So since I have a stop, I'm just going to make a button real quick, and this is completely being made right now. So I'm just going to make a play button. I could draw it and make it easier on myself, but I'm just going to do text now because it's even easier. So I'm going to go to the button. I don't care what it's named, and I'm going to press OK. Now I'm going to double click and go inside of the button, and I'm going to press F6 till these are all filled. The reason why you'd press F6 to fill up over, down, and hid is because when you go to up, you can actually edit these and convert them into individual movie clips and symbols and make them do like different things, like maybe glow or spin around or whatever the fuck you want. And you can do that on these individually since they're not all the same graphic. You can always make them all the same graphic and just copy and paste and so on. But I'm going to explain what these mean. Up is when there is nothing touching the button. Over is when the mouse is touching the button. Down is when the button is being pressed down when you're clicking and holding. And hit is the area you hit it. These are all very important. So I'm not really going to animate anything, like make anything too amazing, but I'm going to show you a differentiation. So for over, I'm going to go ahead and stretch this out big, or a little bit big. Down, I'm going to make it like shrink. And then the hit area is generally going to be here. Now another rule that people should really follow is to make another layer if you do text and to put a transparent background. Because nobody wants to fucking click the text area, because once you turn this into a button, these letters will be what you click, and nobody wants to fucking sit here and have to click the letters, because some people make such tiny ass play buttons that you have to click, and you sometimes click into this area, and it's just fucking annoying. Save everybody the trouble and just make a transparent background. It doesn't matter like what color you use since it is transparent, but I want to show some difference. So I'm going to use blue, and I'm just going to come over here, and I'm going to make this alpha 0. So when I zoom out, it's invisible. I'm going to press F6 again. I'm going to stretch this out to fit all these areas. I'm going to press F6 again. I'm going to minimize it to fit this general area. And the general play button. I'm just going to copy and paste from here to here. Fuck, I need to shrink this a little bit. Okay. So we have our basic play button. There's nothing too fancy. It's pretty simple. So I'm going to come back out of the scene. And I'm going to come into the actual symbol I just clicked. And I'm going to right click it. And I'm going to go to actions. Now from here, I'm going to take the button, play, and I'm going to drag it on. Now there's a difference from a frame to a symbol like a button. For instance, you have on release now, because since it's a button, on release, you want it to play. So it's going to play once I click it. For instance, I'm going to give an example. I'm going to preview it in Flash. and nothing's happening right now, so I come over to it, I press play, and it plays. Now, if I don't have it say play, or like, let's say that I come over here, I don't have any action in this button, and I just have a play up here with a stop, it's not going to work because of the stop. So remember that. It's important to put the actions you do for a button that you want it to do inside the actual button. And that's pretty much all there is to buttons. So I opened up a pretty basic animatic with a VCam. Now I'm going to show you the difference to what a VCam looks like. So right now I have a VCam inserted, and it should give a sort of effect. Now I'm going to preview it in Flash so you guys can see what it looks like. Now I'm going to remove the VCam and show you what it looks like without the VCam. So it looks pretty basic and it doesn't look that movie. VCams basically take what you're working on. They basically make a moving canvas for you to, like, whatever you're moving or whatever your is in vision, you can use. So, like, for instance, once I bring it back, the only area that the flash will recognize with a VCam is the area inside the VCam. Another really important rule is to match the VCam size with the canvas size. So as you can see, it's a stretched out rectangle, because that's pretty much how big the canvas size is. And that's extremely important as well. You don't want a squished square because it'll look terrible. If I'll show you what it looks like with a squished square, it would look weird. Just the first few seconds, it looks like shit. It's because it's smushed square and it follows the rectangle. So how to install a VCam is really fairly easy. What's going to happen is, so we have our RC, I have it saved in a folder called RCT3. In the description, you will see a download for the camera extension. If you do not have an Adobe extension installed on your computer, then get one. I'm pretty sure the camera works for everything but CS2. I don't know why. I'm positive that doesn't work for CS2, but everything else, CS3, 8, MX, CS4. I don't think it works for CS5, but it might. So I would just try it too. But it's there. So the extension's there. You can download it. I saved it in this folder called RCT3 because my desktop is a fucking mess. And all I do really is you just, after you have the Adobe extension installed, you would double click the camera. I already have the Reanimator camera installed, so I'm going to go ahead and delete it. So what I do now is I just go to open, or I go to install new extension, and since I have mine in the RCT3, I'm going to select it. I'm going to press accept, and it says it has been successfully installed. And so that should install it. And it's as simple as that. You can install as much extensions as you want. I also linked you guys to the Anapedia, and there's tons of cool shit on there. I will get into some more stuff, some more extensions that are fucking badass, but for now, it's just good to install the camera. So what you're going to need before you can install the camera is an Adobe Extension Manager. Okay, you can find that on the Adobe homepage, or an Adobe site. It's free. I don't think it costs any money because it goes with your Flash, and it shouldn't interfere with anything. So now that I have my camera installed, if you're wondering how to set the camera, it's very simple. Once in your actual Flash, when you first install it, you're going to have to close Flash. And then you come up to New Camera in the commands. And then it creates a new camera. From here, you can pretty much edit the camera. You can go in and remove all these. I recommend putting a different color since it is transparent. There's actually nothing in there, and it's just lines. And making it a little transparent so you can see it overlay, like I did with the purple one. For instance, this is the purple one. and pretty much you can just move it freely, spin it around. It doesn't really matter. So VCams are really cool. None of these areas are seen. It's just this general area. So if you don't really want to draw a body and you're like, fuck, I don't feel like drawing all this shit. And you let's say you actually drew a body, like you drew somebody's body. Mine looks like shit, but it's an example. So you drew a body here, and you don't want this area seen down here. So what you would do is you just simply put the VCam right here, and the only area that's seen is up here. Nothing's seen down here. So that also saves a lot of time in the long run, and it's just great in general. Oh, I almost forgot. This is extremely important. I'm animating in a 2.0 action script, okay? This won't work in 3.0. If you get an error and your VCam's not working, that might be because you're using a 3.0 action script, okay? It has to be 2.0. Same thing for if you're getting in more extensions. Certain extensions you might have to get a certain action script for. It might not be on the Anapedia. You might have to actually search for other extensions that'll work for 3.0 if you want to use 3.0. Personally, I hate 3.0, but 2.0 is good. But if you like 3.0, then by all means find another extension that can do it. But for now, I'm using a 2.0. Okay, 2.0 action script. That's highly important. And that should be all we're learning today, because I don't want to stretch this out to be fucking 30 minutes long. It's already pretty long as it is. I was shooting for 20, but some stuff takes a lot more to explain, like action strips. Next time we're gonna learn some minor animations. Since we got most of the basic stuff out of the way, we're gonna actually learn about slowdown time and spacing yourself out and the rule of animation. We're also gonna be talking about how to edit our ease, how to slow and speed up, and do certain things with tweens for those people who tween, and just some mess of other stuff that you'll eventually see when we get around to it next week. So, thanks for tuning in this Sunday. I'll see you next Sunday.